Hi, I'm Reed, this is Crowline Publishing, and today we're talking about the narrative possibilities of multiclassing in D&D. Now, for better or for worse, classes are at the heart of D&D. They map out your abilities, they determine your role in the game, and they largely and accurately depict archetypes within fantasy gaming. You're a noble fighter, you're a cunning rogue, you're a mysterious wizard, you're a servant of the gods. However, beyond that, classes can be pretty restrictive, especially if you are looking to break away from that inherited medieval world that D&D kind of presents to you as a fait accompli. And especially if you want to play something that's not at all a typical adventure, if you want to play, I don't know, an animal or a non-human or anything like that, classes just do not do a great job of mapping those out for you. And Crowland, we are all about narratives. We are all about empowering players and DMs to tell their own stories. Now, I know some of the things here are maximized. I do not care. I just do not run games like that. If I see a PC who's built their character badly, so they're lagging behind, I don't know, damage really, really badly, I just cheat. All right? No, you can roll a D10 instead of a D6 for that ability. And as well, I just don't run those kind of power games in which you are really competing with each other for the finest numbers. I run games about intrigue. I run games about drama. I run games where there's payoffs to emotional journeys. Now, I love a good bit of biff as much as the next guy. I like a guy stabbing a dragon in the face all day. Go for it. It's just not the centerpiece of my games. And so you won't find a lot of really heavily min-maxed characters here. This is just for fun. This is just for drama. So, first up is the Skald, the Barbarian bard. Now, Vikings, and a lot of other martial warrior cultures, had a reputation as savages, as guys who were just like, I would war, blood is the only law. But that's not true. And if you look at any of the sagas, you'll see the law, custom, and history, even magic, are really, really important to these cultures because they are a bunch of violent bastards. They need to work together. So law and custom is really, really important. So you play a barbarian, but the learning, the culture, the knowledge, even talking to the gods makes you a respected and sought out and wise figure within the culture that you live in. The totem warrior, the barbarian monk. In Africa, they had jaguar cults. The Aztecs had eagle cults. All around the world, you see people, especially warriors, believing that the animal spirit comes in them, the berserker, the bear spirit, and transforms them and gives them power. So the animal spirit is the chi power that moves you around. The berserker, the rage, is your animal coming out, so that when you're raging, you might even look like a werewolf. I would model a character like Black Panther with a barbarian monk, and any kind of animalistic character I would use as barbarian monk. The gentleman thief, the bard rogue. I think you could make a really, really fantastic kind of urbane, witty, educated, smart toast of society art thief in the mode of Thomas Crown or Catwoman or even my beloved Hudson Hawk. You can discuss art, music, fashions, affairs of the days, but at the same time you can climb 5 stories, identify and steal the ancient idol, and then be back at the Duchess's party before the toast. Well, yes, we rather killed the lich, didn't we, gentlemen? I say, martini? Martini? Martini. If you like that affected David Niven sort of in and out like a cat character, I think you'd have a lot of fun. The insane musician, the bard warlock. Have you ever read the laundry novels, Spies vs. Cthulhu? There's a woman who works magic through a monstrous Cthulhu violin. Or a young bard might attract the attentions of a fairy prince who loves him. Or have you heard the song The Devil Went Down to Georgia about a man who gets a magical violin off the devil? Either way, the idea is that you have done a deal with the devil or something, and you flavor your magic as music. So a sleep spell is a lullaby, an eldritch blast is a huge riff, exploded, and there's you fiddling the violin as if your soul depends upon it. Obsessed with the most perfect music of the devils. The warlord, the cleric fighter. You are a leader of soldiers. Take a sword and board fighter, so you get a shield, get a hammer. I just see this character as having a hammer rather than a sword for some reason. You get yourself into much plate mail as you can, and you fight from the front lines. You are there, shoulder to shoulder with your best warriors. Now, here's the thing, is that hit points do not have to necessarily represent physical wounds. They can just be a disadvantage in a fight. So some, or at least most, of your healing and buffing magic, quote unquote, is in fact just you being a charismatic, incredibly powerful leader. Just you slamming the hammer on the shield. Rise, you dogs, we will not die today. And just people just going, oh my god, I'll follow you into hell, sir. The Satanist, the cleric warlock. You started out so holy, so full of righteousness and love, but you fell. Or you were pushed. Something went wrong between you and the gods. Maybe they denied you something. Maybe you wanted to resurrect someone and they wouldn't let you. Or perhaps the gods couldn't save you from some terrible fate. Or maybe you committed a crime. Doesn't matter. Something happened that made you hate what you once served. So you found other masters, and they will help you in your dark cause. And what makes you such a threat is that you know the ways of the church well, and you can destroy it from within. You can hide in plain sight. It doesn't matter though, because you are a figure of absolute fear in your culture. You are the enemy of humanity, or for whatever, and you can hide in plain sight. I would do Imhotep from the Mummy this way. He went against the will of the gods for his lust, and he was punished for it, and when he returned, he had new and very dark powers. The animal, the druid barbarian. So we talked before about how there were cults where the totem would come into you. Well, what if the totem completely changes you? You're barely even human anymore. You live in the form of a bear or a dinosaur or whatever your chosen form is, and your barbarian abilities like rage are literally animalistic fury overcoming you. Your human side just goes away, and your druid powers, generally you would want to spec into more shape-changey and self-buffing kind of powers. So you could even actually say that you are not human at all. You never were. You're in fact a kind of ascended animal. And if you take something like Ancestral Guardian, you're just an enormous beefy tank. You're not smart, you're going to lose a lot of will saves and stuff, but you could be a very huge animal. Or you could be a Mr. Hyde type. You were possessed by wild and feral spirits, and sometimes you just go away, and when you come to, the blood's on your hands. The Green Knight, the Druid Paladin. You are favoured by the gods of the wild or the spirits of nature, and you are a creature of the forest itself. Your skin is bark, your eyes are pebbles, and your hair is sticks and moss. You have been created by the forest to serve it, and to represent it into the world of men. You are half a knight, you are half a spirit of nature. Or perhaps you were a knight who has left the church, and now you serve the pagan forces of the world, the likes of Queen Titania and King Oberon. See yourself as a knight with great horns of the stag coming out of your helmet and a cloak of green moss. The superhuman, the fighter-sorcerer. Now nothing says high fantasy to me like the martial warrior with the magical abilities. When these two classes come together, I just think it's really, really flavoursome. I know there's better combinations, but I don't care. I love fighter sorcerers. Your magic is in your body. It's within your training. It's not a thing of intellect, it's a thing of will. And the visuals. You draw a sword of fire. You lift your hammer and lightning comes at your call. You grab arrows or javelins of lightning from the air. Maybe you practice some incredibly powerful ancient occult martial art. Maybe you have ascended and the gods or the spirits or whatever have rewarded you with these abilities. I would do a godling, the daughter of the war god or the justice god, as a fighter sorcerer. The wuxia hero, the fighter monk. Wuxia is an Asian genre of martial arts films with an emphasis on fencing on weapons rather than hand-to-hand combat, but also knightly virtues about what makes a moral person when they are going to use violence in their life. And in wuxia movies, you see all these cool and strange weapons you just don't see in Western fighting movies. Say the Kanabono club or the monk's spade. Japan has a cultural emphasis on really, really huge swords. And to me, characters like this, they read as fighter monks because they're martial champions. They learn combat techniques like a fighter. Maybe they learn them from a book, maybe they learn them from a master, but they also are deep in touch with their key powers, or however you want to flavor supernatural energy. They have abilities beyond what other people do. And your combat is still ultimately a spiritual thing for a fighter monk, for a wuxia hero, but a wuxia hero also has power and physical strength and martial abilities and insights. They can be generals. So that's a wuxia hero. Jedi, monk paladins. Yeah, I know, you might be thinking the Jedi are too linked to Star Wars, but I disagree. I think there's no harm in a group of magic fighters who keep the peace in a fantasy world, and I would use monk paladins to do this. Especially the less flippy guys like Mace Windu, who are all martial skill, rather than the stuff that comes in mainly with video games where it's just flipping around and force powers is destroying planets and suns and things like that. You are a character who can specialize in weapon bonds as a Kensei monk, and you move around quite quickly using your chi powers, that's the force, and your paladin abilities, things like divine sense, are a disturbance in the force. And smite, you might actually have your weapon glow when it's smiting, so that you've got that Jedi look. So between weapon bonding as a Kensai, charming abilities for your Jedi mind tricks, and your just sheer ability to dole out just pretty staggering damage, Monk Paladin. And to finish, something a bit strange, the Predator, like the alien Predator from the movies. And don't do that as a Monk Ranger. You want to hunt people, but you also want to be pretty effective at getting in close and ripping them apart. That's an alien Predator. So I would do a Sun Soul Monk. You're shooting lasers. Obviously, that's the plasma cannon of the Predator, but also you are a pretty good hunter with your ranger powers. That's important for a Predator. You could use your monk abilities, your hand-to-hand flurry of blows, as the cool claws thing that they use, the stabby wrist thing. And of course, you've got a lot of takedown powers, which you could use as the Predator nets and things like that. Or if you really wanted to play up the horrific hunter of the night, you take a Gloomstalker Ranger, and you're a terror show. You're really scary. You're coming out of nowhere, ripping dudes up, leaving their body parts, and then vanishing back into the night. So there you go. That's actually 12 multiclass ideas. I think that you've got some interesting narrative hooks for all of those multiclasses. And come back, we're going to do part 2 tomorrow. See ya.